Hello everyone. Welcome to the Environment and Community Safety Decision Meeting. I'm Councillor Dave Ashbourne, the Cabinet Member for Environment and Community Safety. Just some housekeeping first. The continuous fire alarm sounds, please evacuate the room by the stairwells, don't attempt to use the lift, and assemble at Queen Victoria's statue in front of the civic offices. I'm sure we all know where that is. It's live streamed. Everyone's consenting to that. Hello. And I don't know if there's any deputations arranged for members of the public. No. Okay. We go on to the agenda then. Any apologies for absence? No. Any declaration of members' interests? No. And not for me. Okay. For the first one on there is the separate food waste collection trial. So that'll be Colette, if I may ask you to introduce the report, please.
Thank you. So this report is to propose a separate food waste collection trial across the city. And it comes on the back of the recent introduction of wheel bins across the city. Under the terms of the Environmental Protection Act, Portsmouth City Council is the waste collection and disposal authority, and as such has a statutory duty to collect household waste from all domestic properties. Under that Act, we've got specific powers to stipulate the size, type of collection receptacle, where the receptacle must be placed, excuse me, just run, materials or items which may or may not be placed within the receptacle. We currently collect rubbish weekly and recycling fortnightly, and this is supported by a network of bring banks for glass, textiles and cartons. We have a recycling rate of 24.8%, although hopefully the recent changes we made to waste collection should deliver an improvement to this, which we're monitoring as we speak. Food waste is currently collected as part of the black bag collection and is disposed of at the Energy Recovery Facility. We recently had a waste composition analysis carried out in the city, which showed that just under 40% of black bag waste is food waste. 10% is unavoidable, so vegetable peelings and chicken carcasses, etc. And 30% of that, though, is avoidable food waste, so that's excess food that's just not eaten. The government's recently published a resources and waste strategy which indicates that they'll introduce mandatory separate food waste collection services by 2023, although this is subject to consultation. And the administration is keen to introduce a separate food waste collection service to residents. We estimate that separate food waste collection could improve Portsmouth's recycling rate by between 4 and 8%. So the proposal is to carry out the trial of a separate food waste collection in 5 areas of the city. We would distribute some food waste containers, which I've brought a sample to show you, and the food waste would be collected weekly, and that would be in addition to the existing collection of frequency of refuse and recycling. Whilst the trial will be for 6 months, the first 3 months would be the main part of the trial, followed by a period of evaluation, after which a decision could be made about a wider rollout of a food waste collection scheme. The evaluation will include monitoring of refuse and food waste tonnage, along with put-out rates, so that's how many people are participating, and also incorporate feedback from residents participating in the trial. The trials will be carried out in parts of Drayton, Somerstown, Old Portsmouth, Portsea, Southsea, Eastney and Baffins, and there's a full list of the proposed roads in the trial in Appendix 1. There's a full EIA for the current waste collection service, and it's been amended to reflect separate food waste collection trials. Whilst the EIA does highlight some equality groups may be impacted, there are provisions in place to ensure that these impacts are mitigated, and that can be found in Appendix 2. As I've already said, the EPA gives us the legal ability to do this, and so there are no legal concerns. Our Finance Director, do you want to say about the finances?
So as the report says, the cost of the trials are around about £189,000 a year. 44,000 of that is, £189,000 for the trial period. 44,000 of that is to do with the supply of 10,000 of these caddies and bins. We also need to procure a specialist vehicle for food waste, because our current normal waste collection vehicles, you can't collect food waste in them, and I'm sure Colette will go into that in a bit more detail. We also need to obviously employ a specialist project team and promotional material in there. Now, there is a cost, an additional cost for disposal. This won't make a saving because of the fact that our nearest plant where this food waste can be recycled is in Dorset, which is obviously, and we reckon that will cost around about £11,000 over the trial period.
Thank you. So I did bring along the caddies to show you. So this is the caddy that would go outside, that residents would place their waste into and would go outside. It's 23 litres. It's got a locking handle, so once you put it out like that, if it gets knocked over, you can't get into it, so that's good for pests. And then this is the kitchen caddy, which residents would get one of these. They'd all be logoed up. These are just the prototypes. And that sits in your kitchen, and then you put what you get in there. Yeah. So I think that's everything that I wanted to say around the trial. If we do get permission today, we're looking at a sort of June time. I don't want to say an exact date. There's still a number of issues outstanding, including the vehicle procurement, as Wayne suggested. But my recommendation would be that you approve the proposal for the food waste collection trials.
Thank you, Colette. Any comments or questions from the others? No?
I think it's really good that we're obviously looking into this. What is the proposal? I mean, obviously the trial is exactly that, to see how quickly the uptake is and what benefits we get from that. Depending on that, what are we looking at in terms of a full rollout and moving into a permanent system of doing that? And is that going to be looked at during the trial process, or is that something that comes at a later date, obviously in terms of the budget as well for that, because it's going to be a substantial amount of money that's involved in getting that set up?
We've done a very high level view of what the cost would be. I don't have them with me, and you're right, it would be additional cost as the trial is, but the trial will really inform those costs, so we'll be able to see where we'll be able to, exactly what the cost will be, where they'll fall. It will help us understand how big a food waste collection round should be, for example, so that we don't over-egg vehicle purchases and things like that. And the other thing is we'll continue to work with our disposal partner around how we can get rid of the waste more efficiently. Obviously, the nearest AD plant currently is in Dorset, so that does add the cost really. If there was a more local option or a different delivery option, then that would change the model. So I think it gives us a chance to look at all of those things and really nail the costs down to understand what they really truly would be for the city.
Yeah, it's one of the things, like the trial's done for various things, isn't it? So so we can see what like you say, what the uptake's going to be. We can see any teething problems that's going to happen in there, and also it's something that we haven't done before. And it's as you say in the report, there's approximately 40% of black bag waste is food waste. So this is a way of actually being able to lessen the waste, because it will go somewhere more efficient. And you've mentioned the anaerobic digestion. Is that right? Anaerobic. I always have problems with that word, but that's the plant there. That would be different from like composting, because you can't do composting with certain things, but you can with this, can't you? Is that right?
So in compost, the rule is usually you don't put cooked food in there, but in this you'll be able to put all food waste in. So anything that's left on your plate will be able to go into the food waste collection caddy, including, as I say, chicken carcasses, tea bags, I suppose they could go in your compost. But things that you can't normally compost can go in your food waste caddy. The other thing that does is sort of people talk about where they've done it before is that when people see how much they're throwing away, they reduce the amount of food waste naturally, because they think, gosh, I've thrown a lot of food away this week and perhaps I won't buy as much food when I go. So there's another benefit to residents there, in that it might help them realise how much they're throwing away, because 40% is one of the highest in the country. It's across the county, by the way, but it is very high.
Yeah, and waste is something we're looking at getting rid of, isn't it? We've got initiatives like Zero Waste, I think, and also the report points to it could improve the recycling rate by approximately 4 to 8%, which is obviously very high on there, and it's something we don't do at the moment, so it's an additional thing that we could be doing as an authority. So yeah, I'm very happy to see this report, very happy to see the food waste. I think we've had a lot of positive comments about it, a lot of people asking questions about it, a lot of interest in it. Other areas do it, Eastleigh do a scheme like that, and the governments themselves have introduced with their resource and waste strategy, have talked about local authorities doing it as well. So I think it makes sense to do this trial, so I'm very, very happy to approve these recommendations for the food waste trial. Thank you. I don't know why I switched off. That's still me. So if we go to item 4, that's the illicit tobacco and alcohol harm reduction.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. This report is to appraise members of the very close partnership that regulatory services have with public health in terms of illicit tobacco and alcohol harm reduction. It's a partnership that's been in existence since 2014, but what we wanted to do in terms of this report is to highlight the need of the continuation of this partnership, and to set out some of the programme of intervention that we'd like to take part in this financial year. There is a need for this partnership, and it is seen as a priority for both regulatory services and public health. And the reasons for that are that there have been many surveys and research taken into account of the harm that's created by illicit tobacco and alcohol, and that has demonstrated that there is a need for this partnership in Portsmouth. Our regulatory alcohol and tobacco harm reduction work is demonstrating some results in this field. However, this work cannot tackle the scale of the problem on its own, and we need to continue this partnership for the foreseeable future. A regulatory approach requires a coordinated approach to working towards a strategy with both services to minimise the harms of tobacco and alcohol. Illicit tobacco significantly cause more harm than the kind of products you can buy over the counter legally. And the reason for that is it discourages smokers from quitting the habit, for example, because of cheaper products. And it encourages more people to take up smoking because those products might be broken down into single sales, for example. We know the new regulations and law in terms of how many cigarettes, for example, can be sold. It's a minimum of 20. You can't break that down into tens or singles. And there is evidence that that's happening in terms of illicit tobacco. So it's encouraging people to smoke, and it's encouraging the uptake of smoking, particularly in younger people. Counterfeit products are also a significant concern, not only because that there is no control over what's within those products. If you buy a legal tobacco product, for example, over the counter, there is some controls in regard to how that product is manufactured. And although we know that it's causing great harm to people, in terms of illicit tobacco, there are no controls about what is in that product, and the harm that it is creating is magnified as a result. It's far easier than we might imagine to get hold of these products, and there is some research, and that is detailed within the report. these products are more available than we think, and in terms of our local authority and the South East region, there has been some research into how easy these products are obtainable. And there are some stats, and as I say, this is real research into this problem. And the research demonstrates that 27% of smokers buy illicit tobacco. And in Portsmouth, it is the second highest region within the South East area for people getting hold of these products. So it's a real concern to Portsmouth City Council and, of course, to public health. I have provided some definitions set out within the report. I don't feel that it's necessary to go over what those definitions of what illegal products are, but I can go on to that in questions if necessary. It is really important to say that these products are not only just people trying to make money as a result of selling these products, but there are real links to organised crime. And that it is not just a wholesaler or a shopkeeper trying to make profit. It is those people have connections with other members of the criminal fraternity, and of course that those funds are going into other areas of criminality. And there are some stats provided in section 5 with regard to the costs in terms of how much profit is being made. And in the UK, it's determined to be about £1.2 million per year. The aims of the partnership are set out within section 7, and these are really to combine our skill sets in terms of regulation and in terms of education, and so that we can maximise the impact of our work. And of course that we need to fund this work moving forward, particularly in terms of regulation. And our combined activities will help us do that this year. And of course it's to provide guidance, not only to the public with regards to what they're buying and the problems that sale is creating, but also of course upon the harm that it's causing that person who buys that product. And of course to provide guidance to retailers. And it's not all about the high-level criminality. It is about ensuring that retailers comply with all the guidance and requirements of the government in terms of sale of alcohol and tobacco. So we are talking about regulation, and we do want to say that we are trying to provide a deterrent to people who are selling these products, and obviously we will be investigating reports of illegal practices. We will use intelligence provided by our network of agencies, including the police, in terms of where these products may be being sold. And there is a real risk, of course, that we will be able to detect these illegal activities and obviously bring the people who are doing it to task. The disruption programme is set out in section 8. I don't really want to go through each element of that, but they are clearly highlighted within the report. In terms of the conclusions to the report, it's worth noting the director's comments in respect to the summing up. And it's a reiteration, really, of the entire report, that there is a real need to tackle this activity, that we are trying to build upon the success of the last 5 years of this partnership. We want to educate the public in respect to the dangers and where the money from that sale may go. We want to discourage this practice. And of course we are highlighting that we will endeavour to detect and effectively punish those involved. There is an absolute need to continue this partnership this year and in the years to come, and hopefully we can build upon the successes of the last 5 years. Therefore, the recommendation is to acknowledge that there is a trade in illegal tobacco and alcohol. It does have serious consequences in terms of health and crime, and therefore I recommend that the Cabinet Member approve the disruption programme that is set out within Section 8.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir Richard. Any questions, comments from others?
And at the briefing, like Colette and Richard and Lisa, it's pretty straightforward. I'm happy to this. So I said my piece then, and yeah.
Okay, Anything for George?
No, not specifically. I think it's to be encouraged that working together between the two teams, and the disruption programme that's set out there completely shows examples of how we're actually going to try and target it. Yeah, I can't see there would be any reason why we shouldn't go ahead with this at all. Thank you.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, because it's as always a comprehensive report there. It mentions about the things that people don't often see, when they're offered cheap tobacco or alcohol, the connections with organised crime that's there in the background, which is driving a lot of it. And we live in a kind of more ethically conscious society where people, when they can see the harm it's doing, it might discourage them using certain products. And so, yeah, anything that can go out, and you mentioned educating people, something like this can help with that as well. Your report seems to indicate that it hits the less well-off more proportionally as well. So it's also looking after that, people in our society who have got lower incomes on that, and they're, tempted by here's some cheap cigarette. You don't know what's actually in them. So that's why we have these regulations, so people can make an informed choice. It's not up for me to lecture people what they put in their bodies, but at least it needs to be something that they can make an informed choice about, that kind of thing. So I think this disruption programme set out, and the importance of the partnership, which you've mentioned, I absolutely in agreement with. So I'm happy to accept those recommendations. Okay, thank you. Okay, so item 5 is the Community Crime Reduction Grant for Lisa. If I can introduce you. Thank you.
I don't know how to use these things. Morning, everybody. My name's Lisa Wells. I'm the Partnership Support Manager for the Corporate Strategy Unit, and my specialism is in community safety. The paper you've got in front of you sets out proposals for a new Community Crime Reduction Fund. The Community Safety Survey, which is something it's pretty unique to Portsmouth. In fact, we do it every 2 years. Last year, in 2018, in January, we saw a significant increase in people's experience of crime. So there was an increase in the number of people that had become victims of crime last year. Now, we think that this is probably as a result of real increases in certain types of crime. And we think that even though police recorded crime is still probably influenced by improved recording practices, which came in after the last inspection report into police crime data integrity in 2014, there's still a sort of an impact of that in the levels of crime in the city and across the country. In fact, it's not just in Portsmouth. But we think that the results of the survey actually do indicate that there has been an increase, even though it's sort of slight and it's in particular crime types. So the SPP plan, the Safer Portsmouth Partnership Plan, takes account of those findings, and that's published on the website, and that sets out some long-term strategic priorities for partners to work on together. What this paper suggests is that we really are keen to harness really local knowledge in relation to issues in different areas of the city. Hang on a sec. So we're suggesting that it's a 3-year sort of programme with £30,000 available every year. And the process, there's 2 options there for processes, one which is an application and assessment process, and another which is a localities workshop approach. And in both cases, the partnership support team would provide inputs into that. So we would, as Dave talks about, provide information that would give residents the ability to make an informed choice about what sort of things they want to happen in their neighbourhoods. Because we do have information about what's happening in the neighbourhoods, so it's important that we communicate that in a way that's understandable and valuable for residents. And we'll do that either in writing, and there's an example of the sort of information that we might provide at Appendix 1, or we would do it in person in relation to the locality workshops approach. So I don't think there's much more I need to say about it, but I think it's a great idea, and I'm looking forward to implementing it, I hope. Oh,
Sorry, I just want a point of clarification. In the recommendations, it says that the fund is 90,000, which is 90 million. Just to confirm, it's 90,000 pounds. If we can just change that in the minutes.
no, you're right.
I'm sure we can change that.
Yeah, you're right. I did see that.
90,000k, yeah. Be nice if we had that.
It would.
Okay, any questions or comments from the other members? Okay. All right, well, thank you for that, Lisa. Yes, am I on? Yes, I am. Yeah, thanks for that. Like we said about in the briefing, like you just outlined on this one, I think this is a good initiative here. I like the fact that the idea of the workshops there means it will be something led by communities who know their areas. We've put like the north, the centre and the south, so it's more of a community-led thing rather than anything specifically led by some members or something like that, you know, who have a tendency to like sometimes be reactive, not proactive, but we can, you know, communities lead us, and we can help, you know, it helps communities get together to sort things. And it also, you know, as we're discussing, sometimes it might come up that there's already something around anyway. When the communities get together to fight something, they might find there's already something that we can use that they're not aware of. So it helps us be able to share what the council can do that maybe people aren't aware of either. But no, I like this. There is a lot of fear of crime, and as you say, some of people's experience of crime have gone up. So I think this is a good response, and I think this is a good strategy. So I am happy to go on record to accept the recommendation, obviously with the clarification of the actual finances corrected on there, but yes, I'm happy to go ahead.
And which process would you prefer, an application process or a locality workshop process?
A locality workshop
Okay.
one, I think, on the community-led one, I think that would be the best way to go
Yep.
about it all. Yep. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I think that's everything now, isn't it? Okay, so I can draw the meeting to a close. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to Richard and Colette, although they're not here. They've gone. And thank you, Lisa and Wayne. Thank you.